Hello everyone, Roxbox90 here, back with some more Eldritch Moon spoilers tonight. We've got a lot of great stuff we're going to hop right into, including all the mechanics of the set revealed, and some crazy mythics. Really excited. Also, update on the 15,000 subscriber giveaway. I was supposed to get up this weekend. I got to record everything and start getting into production. Unfortunately, that's where it was ended. I am working on it. I'm also putting up spoiler videos like this, but I am working on to get you as quickly as possible. I'm very excited for those videos, so stay tuned. In terms of the spoilers for this evening, we have new mechanics from the set. So this article by Mark Rosewater I'll put down below in the description, but he goes through who designed the set as well as where the inspiration came from for some of the mechanics. One of the mechanics, which is the main point of the article, is Meld. And the concept of Meld is taking multiple cards and having them work together or become one card. So example from Unglued, we had the artwork is merged, the cards where border doesn't act as a border. BFM, it's two cards become one. This is where this concept of merging two cards come from. And there are other elements as well they took into consideration. What if you have three cards put together? This didn't really work with Magic because it's much more competitive and much more difficult to do that, but there are other games had this concept within Wizard's arsenal. So for example, what is Meld in action? Here's an example. Midnight Scavengers, 5 for 3/3, enters the battlefield, you can return target creature card from mana cost 3 or less to your hand, and it melds with Graph Rats, which is a 2/1 for 2. If they're both in play at the beginning of combat, then you can merge them into Chittering Host, and it looks like the back of one card is going to be the top half, and the back of the other card is going to be the other half, so you flip them both over, and you put them on top of each other, and boom, you get Chittering Host, 5/6 haste with Menace, and whenever it enters the battlefield, other creatures you control go also and gain Menace till end of turn. So very powerful, aggressive card. Obviously, these are common, so they're not particularly pushing the boundary in terms of power level, but it gives you a good sense of how Meld is going to work. And the issue, of course, with Meld, the underlying problem, the reason I'm not a fan of the mechanic, flavor-wise I am, playability-wise not so much, because it acts very much like enchantments do. It often will be a 2-for-1, because if someone goes ahead and removes Chittering Host, both these cards go to the graveyard. Now, it breaks apart into the two separate cards, but the main point being is that you're going to invest in two cards to become one card, which if removed, costs you two cards, which is the same problem that most auras had for a very long time, because you'd play them on a creature, and then a person would remove the creature, and they'd 2-for-1 you. This is the same problem. Now, this card doesn't really have any protections. We'll get to another example that does. There's only 3 pairs of these Meld cards in the set, so let's take a look further. Other mechanics. So we have Meld, I just discussed that. The Hanwar Battlements and Hanwar Garrison are what turn into what we already had spoiled, the Hanwar Writhing Township, which I said was pretty ridiculous, especially if you get the turn you get it, you flip it. It can be ridiculously powerful, but it's very difficult to do, of course, as I expected. 2 for 3 for 3. Whenever it attacks, you get 2/1 humans attacking with it. Now, think of Hero of Bladehold. This is kind of its baby, and is a very solid limited card, very solid creature. Hanwar Battlements can give haste to a creature, gives a colorless, and then tap 5, tap it. If you own both of these, it turns into Hanwar, the Writhing Township. So think of your curve here. Hanwar Garrison, turn 3, turn 4, the Battlements, turn 5, flip it into Hanwar, the Writhing Township. Fairly reasonable, but not likely going to happen in a more constructed format. The way I see it, in limited, this can be ridiculous, assuming you can get the cards, which is probably more likely in draft than in a sealed environment, but still I could see it seeing some kind of standard play, but I'm not seeing it as the top competitive just because of this 2-for-1 mechanic. Now, Long Road Home is an example where exile target creature, to give it end step, return the card to the battlefield with its owner's control with 1/1 counter on it. If you have 2 creatures, such as the rats, if you exile this Chittering Host, it comes back as the 2 creatures, and each one have a 1/1 counter. So there is something going on there as well. Emerge is another mechanic which allows you to sacrifice a creature, take the total emerge cost, subtract the sacrificed creature's mana cost, and that's how much this new creature is going to cost. So 6, let's say for 3/3 for 3, you pay the emerge 6, or rather 3 of it, because you sacrifice the 3/3 for 3, and then you get a 3/4 flying that draws you a card. Interesting design space, interesting to see. I want to see something more than common to see how far they push the envelope with this mechanic. More importantly, Escalate, my favorite mechanic of the set so far, and that's because, and I guess period of the set, just because I find the design space gives a lot of room here. What is Escalate? Escalate is, you do a spell for whatever the mana cost is. And then you have multiple choices on the card. For each additional choice you want to use, you pay a certain cost. So in this card, it's 1 for 1 ability or 3 for 2 abilities. The reason this gets out of hand is, if you recall, the commands were incredibly flexible cards, and things like Cryptic Command, which had so many options, is staple, powerhouse, crazy card. Now, this is a common, but that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be other cards that really push the envelope with this, because it'll allow you to do 2, 3, maybe even 4 different abilities if you just pay that additional cost, and the flexibility it offers throughout the whole game makes it brilliantly designed to play out. So that's my favorite mechanic of the set. Double face cards are backed, of course, and then we also have Madness returning, Delirium returning, which were all great mechanics. Looking forward to see how they integrate as well with Shadows over Innistrad. So I'm not going to go through every single card just because there's a bunch of commons and uncommons, and we have a lot to get through. We also have a September F&M promo, Flaying Tendrils, which is an okay card, but the artwork is gorgeous, so pick one up even just for that. And now we have the mythic, the powerhouse flip card. This is, remember, there's 3 flips. There's the rats, there's the Hanwar stuff, and now there's this. Bruna the Fading Light, 7 for a 5/7. Whenever you cast it, you can return an angel or human from graveyard to play, Flying Vigilance. So you're like, okay. This reminds me of Angel of Glory's Rise. That's kind of what this is like, but it combines with Gisela the Broken Blade, 4 for a 4/3 flying first strike lifelink. Remind anybody of Baneslayer? A mini baby Baneslayer? It does to me. At the beginning of the end step, if you own both, then they merge, which is important because if you play Gisela and she gets removed, and then Bruna hits play shortly thereafter, she brings Gisela back, end of turn, boom, they flip together. What do they turn into? They turn into Brisela, Voice of Nightmares, 9/10 flying first strike vigilance, lifelink. Your opponent can't cast spells that confirm that cost 3 or less, which matters because most removal spells are 3 or less, which means the majority of removal spells, especially in standard, won't touch her, which is kind of ridiculous if you manage to pull this off. Now, the important thing to note, Gisela is, I believe, constructed playable out of the box, period. Go for it. Bruna, less so, but it's not to say not if you're working on a more controlling style deck where you have Gisela hit as an early on push, and then Bruna hit a little bit later, then, or I guess more of a tempo style, but the goal being that you want to use them in combo to get Brisela as the finisher. I definitely think it's doable, although I think Gisela will primarily be standard based, Bruna will be more for limited / commander, and Brisela is some combination of the two. So they're pretty much the big reveal of the night. Kind of insane. I love the flavor. I love how it's going to work. And I love how they've taken the artwork and pushed these angels that were so beautiful and so glorious into this weird mutation in stages, even within the cards themselves. So we got a lot of stuff we went through tonight. A lot of new mechanics. What do you guys think of these mechanics? Definitely make sure to check out the articles I will link down below if you haven't already. Get a sense of where the set is going. I'm very excited with what they've been doing in this space. It's kind of insane, and I look forward to keeping up with the spoilers. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, definitely do, because I have the 15,000 subscriber giveaway coming very, very soon. And if you enjoyed the video, please tap the like button. If you're new to the channel, again, check in and subscribe. As always, Roxabox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.